Yo, 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 what's up? Hello, good day to you and welcome back to How to Drum and Bass, where it is my mission to teach you about drum and bass and maybe demystify some of the things that the top artists are doing right now. And today I want to talk about Mozey. So Mozey has been very, very popular lately, and he's got some banger tunes, that is absolutely for sure. And one thing that he features a lot in his songs, especially in a lot of the unreleased dubs from what I've heard, and definitely two of his released songs, is a very specific call and response between a whistle sound, like a coarse sort of destroyed whistle sound, and some type of pluck. Now we're going to be talking about the pluck part of it, which I'll show you in a minute in a future video, so stay tuned for that, and definitely hit that subscribe button to be notified of it. But today I want to demystify the whistle sound because it's a little bit of interesting sound design, and I think it's a very versatile sound. So some of the songs that I'm talking about right now are Tell Me by Mozey, which goes a little something like this. Tell me. So we hear this whistle and then this sort of phasery type of pluck. And then, you know, a very similar structure is Hands in the Air, which has also been all over the place at all the festivals. So yeah, again, this whistle sound that leads off, it's the call and then the response with these, yeah, sort of plucky. I mean, I think this is like a woodwind type sound, maybe like a mallet or something like this. So yeah, and you know, you can see that in a lot of Mozey's other songs, there's a similar structure. So what we can assume right here, even though you might say, hey, this guy is not that original, this is a concept that works. So let's look at how you can create a similar whistle destroyed type sound, or whatever you want to call it. Let's dive into Ableton. We are here right now in Ableton. We have two things going on here, or actually maybe three. Let's call it three, because we also have a sub going on here, but that's just a very simple sub. But basically we have the whistle sound itself, and we have some added noise, which you could technically do in the patch, but I chose to not do it, so to keep things a little bit more simple, because you may or may not want to include this. So yeah, the original song that we're talking about sounds like this. Right? And so what we have recreated sounds like this. So let's dive into what we have. We have this first layer, which is this. And then we have the second layer, which is just some noise. And what that's going to do is it's just going to create a little bit more interference, make it a little bit more washed out, but still raspy. That's kind of what we're going for here. And so the noise layer is very, very simple. The whistle layer is also very simple. So all we have in post-production really is, yeah, something to turn it down a bit. Which I'm probably going to keep on for now, literally just minus 5 dB, and some overdrive, which is not even really necessary. But it's just, again, to sort of, you know, make it a little bit less harsh. So let's dive into what this is. So this is actually, the best way to explain it is high-passed sine waves that are doing some FM to create interference and, yeah, cause a distorted high-pitched sound. So we have an analog basic shapes here. You could use a not analog one, but the analog one has some more phase bins and some extra bins here, some content that is just, it's going to aid us in distorting the sound later, which is just going to be nice. And that's at -2, and this is actually at +4 octaves, because this is what's going to cause this really, really high-pitched sound. You could actually also choose to do an analog BD sign here, it's just that I didn't. And so basically, let's just switch off this noise here. Let's take away the two things that we have going, which is the distortion and the filter, and let's just have these two play together. So that's already actually relatively close, and this is caused basically by these two interfering with each other and some FM happening. So we got FM from B here. Without it, it sounds very boring, but when we use FM, that's when we get this super high-pitched sound. And essentially why this is because it's very, very fast moving, right? Because it's +4 octaves sine wave. It's going to frequency modulate this low wave. And so essentially it's going to cause all these ripples in here. That's essentially what the end product is going to look like. So it's going to look, you know, maybe not entirely, but it's going to look a little bit more like a monster wavetable like this, sort of. You know, see, this is going to be imposed upon the wavetable that we're going for here. It's not exactly the same, but just to give you a bit of a visual idea of what's happening. So this is what we got. And then what we want to do is we want to accentuate all the higher content, and we want to take out, of course, that lower content, because we're really only looking for that high-pitched whistle stuff, because we can add a sub onto it later. We can add a clean sub onto it later. That'll sound much better. And by the way, if you're wondering why is he showing us a preset, that's not original. This is a preset I made that's going to be included actually in the Drum and Bass Essentials preset pack, which contains everything you need to make a drum and bass. So many awesome sounds to create any genre that you could possibly ever imagine. And you can find the link to that in the description below if you're interested in over 100 sounds to use for your productions. But anyway, that aside, let's move on. So what else have we got going on here? Well, let's see. We have this filter here, and basically most of what this is doing is cutting out some of these extra lows and accentuating some of the highs. So it's just a high 18, and I just put a bunch of drive on it so that we get some distortion, because basically we start pushing this, right? Everything above this line here, we start pushing, and we add some frequency content to that as well. And you can immediately hear it's taken away the raspiness of the lower frequency content. So that's good. That's what we want. Then, of course, we want to apply distortion to this. So we can, it doesn't, I don't think it really matters all that much which one you pick. And this is also where you can sort of make the sound a little bit different, maybe suited to what your needs are. I picked the asim because I think that gave me the nicest sound. But it's just, again, it's really just to kind of add some extra harmonic content to, or actually maybe more some extra noise to the high pitchedness. Because what we can hear, right, if we listen to Mozey's tracks, these are not really just a whistle. They sound kind of destroyed and washed out. So that's what we're trying to reach here with that. And then, so a next thing that we can do is we can actually add some more noise to it. So basically, when you're doing distortion, you're adding content, right? You're adding frequencies, you're upping whatever's already there with extra random frequencies, or, well, it's not random, that's the distortion algorithm, which you should learn about if you don't know it yet, but that's a whole nother topic. Yeah, and so we can do the similar thing with the bright white noise. This is actually almost the same thing as that we're gonna add with this noise layer here, but it's gonna be a little bit less pronounced because it's gonna go through the filtering that we are doing here. So we're just going to add a noise layer to it with the bright white. We're not going to put the level all that high, but then what that's going to do is it's going to run into this distortion here together with these two things and the filter. So you can hear it on the background now. And what's nice as well for this part of the noise is the lower frequencies also get filtered out, right? Because we have applied this filter here to the noise. So that's what we want. So basically we're creating the upper part here. But the reason we're adding this noise layer later is because we want a slightly fuller, raspy noise to go on top of this. That's why we are using a separate noise oscillator. What we're going to do with the noise, like the extra noise layer that we're going to talk about in a minute, you could also do here, which when we talk about it, you will see in lieu of this. But now I wanted double noise, which is going to sound nicer. So then the last thing that we want to do is we want to actually add a filter. You can see here that for this particular preset, which I've included in one of my products, I have some extra parameters. But basically, we can ignore those for now. We have an MG low that is cutting off some of the super highs. Hey, quick break. If you're enjoying these videos and you like my style of teaching and you've been feeling like you want to get more into sound design, specifically for drum and bass, then maybe you want to check out my brand new online course called Drum and Bass Sound Design Mastery. It's an absolutely massive course with over 150 videos spanning 14 hours of content where we teach you two things. In the first half, we teach you everything there is to know about synthesizing sound in Serum. And in the second part, we show you how to use that knowledge to create the most popular sounds in drum and bass. I guess you can see it like the ultimate masterclass of drum and bass sound design. So if that sounds like something you could be interested in, check the link in the description below to find out more about this awesome course. All right, let's get on with the video. So when we turn that down, you can also hear that it's gonna, well, I called it shriek because that's essentially what it lets through. So you can play with that as one of the things, and then you can also, of course, play with this resonance, right? So like, doesn't really do too much, but when you up it a lot, it will just make it more resonant and more harsh. I don't think that's what we want to do right now, so we're not going to, but this is an option that you have. Right, and so then basically what's left to do is either to go into this post-production here and maybe not use this noise layer, but just saturate it with a bunch of stuff. So we can add some overdrive. Right? And we could go on to add maybe like an amp and different types of saturation. But another way to just, basically if you want to destroy something, is to add a very fast moving noise layer. So this is another little goodie that I've included in the Drum and Bass Serum preset pack. It's not really a sound of its own, but it's what I call super fast noise. And it's essentially, it's just a noise layer that's going to play at well, pretty much any note. It doesn't really matter because it's not note tracked, but it's going to do this, right? It's going to give us this very destroyed, raspy sound. And the way that that is made, it's very simple. It is actually just a bright white noise that has a super fast modulated level. And this is a really cool trick, not just for this, but actually to add onto anything that you feel like needs a bit more dirt, but that maybe you can't really get it done in the Serum patch, or you're struggling to do it in the post-production. You can add a noise layer like this, either directly here in the Serum patch that you're making, or separately like we're doing now. And you can see here, it's just basically noise moving very quickly. So if we took this away, well, we'd have to put the level up, of course, but you see, it's just noise. But because we make it move so quickly, this is actually the most simple type of distortion. Very quick volume automation distortion. And then, yeah, we can choose to yes or no high pass it again, depending on whether we want the low end of that noise. Usually you don't, because the low end of noise is not that nice, but there could be reasons why you would do that. You know, we could apply these other things. We could apply more distortion, and we could apply more filtering. In case of distortion, if you're distorting just noise, it's just going to add noise to noise, basically, and that's not really that effective. But you could choose to go ahead and insert some interesting filters, yeah, or do some other post-processing. But mostly this is supposed to be a very simple layer. And then together, they're going to sound like this. However, one thing that you might want to do, which I've also done, is you can find a really cool plugin that is either Decapitator or something similar that can saturate something to the point of not really just adding stuff, but kind of to mangle and destroy the sound. And this E setting on the Decapitator does that really nicely. So this is without it, and this is with it. So it's really degraded, and that's kind of what you're looking for. There are several also free plugins that you can do this with, but I'm almost certain that Decapitator was used in Mozey's original songs because it just makes it sound so much more washed out. So that was the video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did learn something today, please make sure to help me out as well. Please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. It really helps me put out my content to more people like you and create more awesome drum and bass in the world. All right, without further ado, that's it for today, and I'll see you in the next one.